you've admittedly done some stupid cycles of a bunch of different compounds, obviously testosterone, human growth hormone, all of that. Do you regret doing those?
As of now, given that I have at least no perceived permanent, like obviously you could absolutely argue there's some level of deterioration that is maybe not super perceptible to me just on the surface of my blood work and diagnostics, but I don't know, man. It's like whenever you get into the questions of if you could go back in time, would you change X? And then it's like, well, would I be here in this situation the same way? Would I have gone down the rabbit hole of figuring out, I don't know, how to stop hair loss and then making videos about it and then educating about it and having a lot of people be able to fix their situation because of it? Like there's so many things that come as a result that I couldn't say I regret that, because now it's like I have no idea if I'd end up where I am. So I would say no. Just
right. Yeah. And I figured that as much.
Yeah. But the answer is not no, because I got super fucking jacked and like I'm stoked that I got super fucking jacked. It was more like
it's more of where you're at right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're just doing a comfortable TRT dose. You feel And
as I get older though, and I started to learn more, I started to realize that like I might be able to actually like get off if I wanted to. I thought I was going to be like stuck on TRT for life because of what I did. And, you know, there's probably a way to transition to just 8CG only and then maybe try and transition off. And that will be something probably in the future that I explore. But yeah, there's like a lot of shit that you don't get taught when you're first getting into this. And you're just, well, like obviously it's more readily available, the information now. But back when I started, it was there's a lot of stuff I wish I didn't do in hindsight, but it also got me to the point I am now.
Yeah, your tone across, like, this is what made your channel, essentially, was your cautionary tone of all of this. Yeah. And like you really, you made it so like, here's this stigmatized thing. Like, here's why it shouldn't be necessarily stigmatized, but here's why also like the dangers need to be perceived, and they need to be perceived like regularly. Not by some fucking gym class teacher who's doing health. And like, dude, I learned about steroids from DARE.
Yeah.
Do you remember DARE? You guys probably didn't have DARE in Canada, did you?
Yeah, we had DARE.
Okay. So DARE was a failed drug program. And they did do a steroid section. I don't know if you remember that.
Is the Ben Affleck video the DARE thing? Or is that an actual movie? I forget.
Bryce, I gotta get bigger, man.
This might help.
Steroids.
What is going on with you?
Oh, damn it!
I don't know if it was like some promotional campaign for anti-steroid use or it was an actual movie, but basically he was playing a character, and this was a long time ago. This is like the 90s, I think.
Oh my God, I gotta get this clip.
Yeah, I've been meaning to react to it. It's just on my endless list of shit to do that I never do. But he took, you know, an array of different things, and by the end of the movie / promotional thing or whatever, he was like fucking chucking shit around his room and just roid raging like crazy. And I think it was his girlfriend. He like fucking tossed her to the floor or something. Yeah, it was like the most extreme version of...
The only reason I'm laughing is because I'm picturing like this 90s like reenactment, because like all these PSAs were so dog shit, you know?
Yeah.
And like...
No, yeah, that was like...
Like, don't do steroids, and then it's like Ben Affleck throwing his girlfriend on the ground.
Yeah, yeah. No, it is funny. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, I learned through DARE, and it's like, dude, that was ridiculous. Like, what it does is it removes steroids from everyone.
Yeah.
To make it this crazy thing, right? And then you find out when a lot of people are doing it, you're like, wait, is it that crazy? Like, what do we know about it? Well, we don't know anything. The only thing we do know is from some fucking dude named Jose at your rec center, you know, who's repping out, you know, 135 dumbbells on the incline.
I don't think anyone's ever going to have the real answer as to if it's good that there's more readily available information about it either. Because it's like...
Yeah.
There will always be the two-sided, you know, discussion of, well, they put out misinformation and hit it, and scared the shit out of us, but a lot less people were doing it. Granted, it wasn't as readily accessible back then too, and it was harder to actually procure the shit to use it. But nowadays, it's like, you know, there's people educating how to not fuck yourself up. Does that then enable you to be like, okay, like if I want to do it, I feel a bit better about...
Yeah, I've assessed the risk. I've done the research. I think I want to get on trend.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, just because you research something doesn't mean it like you know the risk or like you haven't felt the risks.
Yeah, and like obviously it's not comparable for like a teenager to compare to an Olympic athlete, but we've seen the Olympic athletes say they would literally take years off their life for a goal, take whatever drugs they had to do. You know, for guys who want to improve their life, if they think that this is the key to do it, they will also take years off their life and be willing to take that sacrifice if it means I get chicks, I get admiration from dudes, I get, you know, praise, I could become the next Sam Sulek, whatever.
Yeah, it's the old it's the man in the bar allegory that I love so much. You know, let's say there's like a 19-year-old kid and he goes up to a 30-year-old dude. He's like, "Hey, do you ever go out and drink? Like my buddies are drinking. Should I drink and party at night?" And the guy's like, "You know, you should do it, but just be aware of the risks." He's like, "Oh, have you drank recently?" He's like, "Actually, I did past weekend. And man, I'm a little bit hungover and my sleep schedule's all messed up. But, you know, I went to the bar and I banged a 10. And but yeah, you got to understand the risks." And the kid just goes, "Oh, I think I understand the risk, and I think I'm gonna drink.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go to that bar. You know, I understand those risks now. I did some research, and thank you for letting me know those risks. But I think I'm gonna take that risk, and I'm gonna go to the bar. Yeah, because all he heard was I banged a 10.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the equivalent. If The Rock was like, "Look, guys, you know, I'm currently doing TRT. Every once in a while, I'll blast on some good shit to get ready for a movie role. But, you know, this stuff, you got to be very careful when you take this. You got to understand the risks. I wouldn't do it." Shit like that.
That sounds about exactly what I'd expect his come out video or...
He wouldn't admit to blasting, though.
No, but I mean, if he was actually to, which he's never going to, but if he was to say it on a podcast...
In that voice, too.
I feel like that's exactly what he would say.
Yeah. What were some of those stacks? Like, what was your mindset trying to get jacked? Were you like, you'd get one source of information from some random dude and be like, "Oh yeah, I like this guy. He's cool. He seems smart, and I love his physique. So like, yeah, I'll hop on this, and this." How did that go for you, like specifically?
It's like the same way you assimilate and consolidate information now is kind of exactly how I did it back then too, just with lesser resources. So it's like what is available to actually digest and kind of create a framework. We have online forums, we have jack guys at the gym, we have your friend who took some shit one time and thinks he knows what he's talking about and he heard how to take it. You have the guy selling you shit. You know, these are the people that are giving you advice essentially. And the most impactful advice was typically coming from forum bros, because they're like guys who actually are very serious about competing at a high level sometimes and have used...
Like foreign, like European?
What's that?
What did you say?
Forum.
Forum.
Like online.
Gotcha. Forum bros. Yes. Okay.
Discussion boards.
Bodybuilding.com.
Yeah. Like there are a lot of...
What were the forums specifically?
there's a bunch. Like I think Outlaw Muscle, Professional Muscle, Hardcore something.
Wow.
There's like a lot that are shut down now as well.
Yeah, because it's not a really big medium, but back then it was, right?
Yeah. It was kind of like people still participate on them as far as I know, but they're not as I don't know, concentrated of people trying to learn as they once were, because it was, you know, as stuff gets diluted over time, people are watching YouTube now. People are buying, you know, I don't know, even programs of how to do shit behind paywalls from their favorite creator who they trust. Like that stuff exists that didn't really exist back in the day too. There's like courses people take to educate themselves. So what year was this? Like what was the prime year of doing stupid shit? I think
Like not year specific, but like what age were you?
Probably like 20. Like the stupidest stuff I did was when I was like 21, probably, because it wasn't necessarily peak dosage, but it was more like peak not knowing what I'm doing.
Yeah, and
with
so like
what I was using.
What was that process at 21 years old?
Oh, it was like, take 500 tests and then, an AI with it and, hope it goes well, essentially. And then also add D-ball on top because you got to kickstart your cycle, of course, with like D-ball for the first 4 weeks because the test hasn't kicked in yet. And you don't want to leave gains on the table for weeks that you're exposing yourself to drugs. So you front load with D-ball to get gains like off the bat, which is actually just like flooding yourself with water, essentially. So, do that, and then you're coupling two things that convert heavily to estrogen on top of each other. And I think that was probably like the only time I've ever had noticeable almost gyno develop. Like if I actually went and got an assessment, I'm sure I would have some level of glandular mass under my nipples from that specifically. Because I remember being in the gym parking lot and going to like put my seatbelt on, and it's never been more uncomfortable to have a seatbelt hitting my fucking nip.
So I love the verbiage that you use, like kind of satirically, like, well, obviously you got to do D-ball to like kickstart, because like, dude, it takes 4 weeks for the sip to come in. So like, I just take a little bit of D-ball. Like, you obviously heard that from some dude.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, this guy's so fucking sure of himself and so smart.
Yeah.
Like, why? Yeah. What? I imagine it didn't even come into your brain like, I should question this guy.
No, it's like when your dick isn't working, it's like, what am I doing wrong? Not what's wrong with the framework of, the cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude. That's a huge side effect, right?
Oh, dude, I've had like at my worst in terms of side effects, I would literally have a chick ready to have sex with me, and I was on like 40 milligrams of Cialis and couldn't get hard.
Yeah, and would you? Fuck.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
Yeah, I remember
the trade-off. Like what?
I remember
that is okay. If that is not like playing God, I don't know what is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, or the devil comes up and he's like, "Bro, you want to get jacked?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, I've always wanted to."
Yeah.
He's like, "All right, I got you." And then you're like, whoa, dude, I'm fucking massive. I'm jacked. And then, holy shit, all these girls are paying attention to me, and I get to bang girls because that's why I started.
Yeah.
You get them in bed and your dick doesn't work. Yeah. That's the trade-off that you have with the devil. That is insane.
Yeah. A lot of people do use rec drugs, too, that fuck their dick function, which has always seemed wild to me, but I guess.
Like what? Like MDMA and stuff like that? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like almost what is the point at that point? Other than to fucking, I've never actually done MDMA, but trip balls while in a music festival or something.
It's so interesting that you like.
People so naive to certain drugs.
No, not you. I mean, yeah, you're pretty green when it comes to like partying. Like your first concert was a month ago.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The Killers at the F1 thing.
Yeah,
yeah. But like, it's funny that people drink so they can be social. People are more social so that they can meet people, can meet a partner, someone that they can end up having sex with.
And then you get whiskey dick.
And then you get whiskey dick.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And it's the same thing with your fucking D-ball test cycle. You got to kickstart with dude, that's so funny. I can't wait to like use that in my like impressions vernacular.
Dude, test deca D-ball is like the Michelin Man stack and a dick not functioning stack at the same time.
It really is. Like if you're like, hey, I want to look like the Michelin Man.
Yeah.
And I also don't want my dick to work. And you're like, buddy, have I got the stack for you?
Yeah, exactly. But you will gain lots of size.